Devil Survivor Overclocked is a spin-off of Devil Summoner that is also a spin-off of Shin Megami Tensei, which in turn makes it a spin-off of Dragon Quest. But the difference is that Devil Survivor is a tactical RPG. Your characters are split into teams, and you move in a grid-based landscape. Just like that one game made by Interplay, which was later bought by Census Designated Place. Now the rules are, obviously if a demon dies, I can't use him anymore, but I'll modify it so that if a kobold dies for example, then I can't use a kobold anymore. Not even for fusion purposes. That demon is now erased from existence and placed on the screen. The second required rule is a bit odd, as this game is segmented through levels and time, alongside the fact that demon negotiation isn't present to substitute as Pokemon catching. But I can substitute the second part by only being able to buy a single demon every passing time segment, whether that be from the demon compendium or the other part that I'll come back in a later time. Now that that's out of the way, let's survive. In the epilogue, where because I'm such a big fucking weep, I'm using the undubbed version of the game. Now this may have cost me my 190,000 hours of 100% completion achievement, but it's a small price to pay for good voice acting, and I have an excuse to do it all over again, to make content. Entering my name, I just used a somewhat canon name for the MC as established by the Devil Survivor manga, as this allows me to make the nickname as Kazi, in reference to I Heart Nishiki. We then meet our friend group, which consists of strength-based nerd GigaChat and a Barry Yukari. We discuss a bit more about Naoya, as Yuzu gives us a homebrew DS. This should show you just how powerful he is because he didn't get mauled to death by the Nintendo police. We then receive a weird email that says, a man dying, an explosion, and a blackout. As to not tempt the destructive iron fist of Nintendo, I leave with Yuzu to go for a walk and get an explanation on how to navigate the UI and world map. Most of these locations are just fluff that can occasionally give intel on the current situation, while the important places are the ones marked with a clock, as those are events to progress the story and to deepen your progress to a certain ending route. That being said, I head back to the park and talk to Yuzu by the time as a police car drove by. We follow the car to Aoyama and see that Naoya is still alive. I'm guessing that's because he used Surfshark, Nord, and 5 other virtual private network clients to conceal his identity from the Nintendo police. So they mauled his neighbor instead. Since no one man should have all that power, we went from the pan straight into the nuclear fire zone, as now we're in the tutorial fight. After all the demons get their turns, I killed all of them using the MC to gain a better starting level, as by the end I'm level 4 with 7 in strength, 5 in magic, while both Yuzu and Atsuro follows by, getting to level 3 just from completing the tutorial. After that's done, we head back to Aoyama. We're told that we need to crash the cemetery gates, and Nintendo drop a drone strike. We're now knee deep in shit. If you add Iceberg Boy to the pile, we're practically swimming in it. Not all hope is lost though, because we got Best Girl aiding us as she's level 31 with access to Maragi. Before one-shotting the Iceberg Boy, I had her kill this pixie first to alleviate the baggage. Iceberg Boy doesn't die here, but he'll escape and Best Girl won't be playable. Finishing off the last kobold, I've leveled up 2 times and invested 2 magic, as I'll be making a magic nuke build. Amani then comes back to cast a protective barrier on us, and we end the prologue. The first proper day into the story had us waking up fresh with the smell of cadaver. Then an email comes in explaining the death clock, which is just like this actual death prediction clock thingy, but we know we can change it if we're strong enough. And information for today's event that entails the continuation of the blackout, a quote-unquote poisonous gas, and the death of 3 people due to frostbite at 1300 hours, or 1 PM. Now since our death clock is at 0, it's safe to say that we're the 3 people that'll die. So we keep our hopes up, as even though the train stations aren't working as stated by the email, we just have to make sure. The distractions along the way are telling me that Nintendo is out for blood. But luckily we only got a blockade from the Japanese army. We're not technically free to do whatever we want, so I made it safe here, because I don't want the recording file to go over an hour and a half. I rearranged my team first and tested on this free battle by only using the MC, as there's a hidden mechanic where the game automatically buffs up the rest of your party team leaders level to catch up with the main characters. So it's a bit more resource efficient as to not spread out what little capabilities I have to be too thin. I almost fucked it up here, as the car was scorched down to 5 health, but the smart dogs here weren't there to make me look bad, so they completely ignored the cat. So I leveled up and spent a point on agility, as I switched the kobold into a pixie somewhere in the middle of the skirmish. It allowed me to get healing and kill the rest. Seeing that Lady Luck isn't fond of me just yet, I went ahead to progress the story a little bit by progressing Atsuro's route and meeting Kaido to ask him about where Naoya is. If the thumbnail didn't clue you in, Devil Survivor Overclocked has multiple endings, and we're going for the Silent Revolution ending. I then got 2 emails detailing about demon auctions, which is the second method of getting demons. I said earlier, I can only buy or bid 1 demon per time advancement, or if the auction is restocked with new demons. The most embarrassing part here is the fact that I lost my first bet because I was lowballing, so I grinded my sorrows away. Look at the Yamamoto line in Abisu, and this time advanced. I went back to the demon auction and just buy the demon outright. You may call this cheating as it completely bypassed the chance of failing to catch a Pokemon. My counter argument to that is I can practically win every bid by taking the full asking price, then reducing it by a couple digits down and have a few cents to spare. Doing this also cuts back on recording time and can be a waste of markup, so yeah. Feel free to dislike the video if you think this is cheating. Heading to the other Yamanote line in Shinjuku, we meet the second worst character in the game and bought a 5-star gacha cat after that. Going to Roppongi, we meet the cooler Haru, then bought Shrek's twice removed cousin, and after meeting the local Tumblr sexy man, we encounter Naoya doing his best G-Man impression. As to not get a losses from Valve, we tried to teach him about copyright laws, but we were ambushed by some demons. The level 1 photo demons are no problem until a level 9 wire comes in. Now the strategy to handle him is we get an email detailing about Maka bonuses, whereas a critical attack or if you clear a demon team instead of just killing the leader, you get more Maka. So I'll say this now, since I want to get as much mileage out of my restriction. I bought a single demon every time a single time advancement is made, and every time a new demon is up for an auction, then it means the auction is restocked. So if I didn't say anything after the story beat, just know that I bought a demon just for the sake of getting auction points to have a chance of getting buried demons to appear, like this 5 gacha star Bilwis to upgrade Atsura's Cobalt. Heading to Ikebukuro to look at another Yamanote line. We get another email saying that we can now have the ability to pirate any attacks, as long as the correspondent torrent kills the host. So I spent a lot of time in the free battle to pirate each abilities and getting levels as a bonus. I managed to get a skill set bonus and gave Fixie Agi for added firepower. By the end I'm level 12, and now we're gonna fight the Iceberg Boy. I spent no time in rushing him down, and after Atsuro kills off his medical line, Waira is our first demon to enter the Shadow Realms. He attempted to run away again, but wherever he go, I go, and set him ablaze to pirate his ice dance. Now you may be wondering why I'm not too upset about losing Waira. Well, that's because SMT is a cruel game, so I have to be cruel back. A demon is underleveled, replace or fuse it. A demon dies in a Nuzlocke, delete it because it's too weak to be alive in the first place. Immediately heading over into a free battle, I pirated an Angerhead and gain a level, so here's my stats. I meet up with the second worst character in the game again, and he does the only useful thing he'll ever do in the game by giving us a hand crank charger. I get an email saying I now have access to Demon Fusion, which I use to make a Kikimora for Yuzu and a Garm for Atsuro. I also plan on to make a Gagazon, as his sacrifice racial skill makes MP management less strict. We get another spiel of the Shimonkai, permanently embedding Amane as best girl, and get lore bits that the cult hired our cousin to make demon summoning camps to reenact God's ordeal. Well, no need for religious drama this early on, so we head out to meet aka the worst character in the game, more Yamanote lines later. I finally obtain another Kikimora, level her up for a bit, and make a Gagazon alongside a Jack Frost for added benefit. Going back to the main story after a few bits of grinding, this is one of the more annoying strategy check for early games, as almost each demon team has access to Bind, which reduces your movement priority and movement space to 1. So I gave Yuzu an Avian Demon to increase her movement space to 4 instead of the baffling 3, and ignore the father to prioritize healing Haru for us. After we're done, Haru gets to live for another 2 days, and we get a crumb of info on how the demon summoning program works, as Haru accidentally summons them by singing. It gets more absurd later on. The mandatory battle in the cemetery is nothing to write home about. We just get introduced to a new aspect of the environment with lost comps that the original user failed to hit the QuickTime events for. Honestly, it's just a skill issue. After the sun's down, I read more emails and we're heading off to day 2. The day starts off strong with Date Makoto and Suda flying over the city in a helicopter. The Lapis mail didn't say anything important other than a new demon at 1700 and 50 people can potentially die at 1800. An email detailing a new skill type that's basically a racial skill but for humans. We still plan on escaping though, so we had the greatest idea of going by the highway since it's connected to the subway somehow. A new day means new demons, so I pirated Electric Dance, fused a Torbjorn and a Gozuki to reinforce my attack potential. I bumbled around for a while because nothing too special was going on until this guy tried to scam us. Luckily we have more than 3 brain cells rubbed together and called a lie. The highway off-ramp is predictably blocked as we were told by the 2009 Honda Civic. Fusing Lilum, I grinded again, and after pirating Mute Eyes, alongside refusing a skill set bonus, we meet a new character. This is her first line for all the weeps out there watching.
あら、ひょっとしてあつろく?
She talks about danger and safety and the kids and da 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 da. A snake fires her off as demon and let her thaw. A bootleg dynamic duo would be formed and we're off fighting some Tojo clan mooks. I had no problems fighting them and pirating their skills. Marksman is great for Atsuro to guarantee the first hit of any physical attacks, and Hustle increases evasion by 25%. Maybe I can use that just in case I want to do a no damage run. We then meet the second best girl in the game that it's such a wasted opportunity to not make a playable team leader, since her subplot is connected with Atsuro's route. Anyway, she interviews us for a bit before telling us about a tunnel in the highway that connects to the subway called the Akasaka Tunnel. Before we go there, we also gain the knowledge that the government may know about the existence of demons. After an hour and a half of grinding, new mechanics, and even crashing, I finally went on to the Akasaka Tunnel, and now we're facing against demons who know how to game. But no matter how opposable one's thumb may be, they still fell under the one who grinds. We get a first teaser of the overarching plot of the game with the mention of Bell and getting interrupted by some special forces. I don't know why we're scared of guns when we wield magical demon powers, but I guess the power of freedom is simply stronger, so we leave. Well, now that we know that some of the higher rank government officials know the existence of demons, so we ask ourselves, can we summon a demon without a comp? Since the system the comp use isn't summoning, it's rather conjuring, like the Conjuration School of Magic in Hot Towers, Skyrim, the Shin Elder Scrolls Special Anniversary 2.13.61.5 Dream the pre-sequel. We get more talks about bells and whistles, and after a fill talk with Miss Mari, we meet the scammer guy from earlier again, but now he's been afflicted by the mental illness called having a residence in a civilization. We get a mandatory special combat stage, Kaido and the 2009 Honda Civic helping us, so it's not noteworthy, other than the fact they're doing this to farm more Maka, which I can unfortunately relate. Since we're in sync with the grind set, I talked to Kaido and got information on something called the Bloodless Murder that the 2009 Honda Civic tells us about his bedridden son. It's a sad story, but his tragedy is not relevant on this route, so womp womp. This encounter is the tamest of all the pinch battles, as the main problem is keeping the civilians alive, and the demons are pretty weak, though the dragon demons are just annoying as always. So as long as you got good movement range and healing range with the Magami or Fairy racial skills on the main map, it's not too hard, especially when you're as over leveled as I am. If the best girl finishes off the rest, here's a funny. Anyways, we get a setup for the future event and face off against the last one of today, which is to save 2 of the worst characters in the game. This wasn't hard, mind you, just incredibly tedious, as 90% of the enemies have a dragon on their team. An evil wave is a skill that's great when the enemies use it, but horrible if you try to use it. Once enter the underground area, I finish off the last demon, and once that's over, goes back out and asks for a comp. So yeah, why not? If she has a comp, she'll die faster and we get one less problem to deal with. Heading back to the park, we made a plan to focus on surviving first, before reading some emails and ending the day. Day 3 is where things start to move, as the news for today is the death of 300 people by the hands of Beldr. Yes, it is another spelling of Beldr, as in the Beldr that's immune to pretty much anything. So our party is understandably scared, because technically this is the first boss fight, and he's immortal. It's like Dark Souls 1 Asylum Demon, but instead of being able to sidestep them, you're forced to beat him by hand. Well, technically by a trinket, but we'll get to that. And when they go doesn't count, he becomes a regular demon by today or tomorrow. So the dread of death aside, I can upgrade my membership card to the demon auction to gold, which means I'll have a stronger selection of demons to pick from. But I didn't buy anything for now, as today also unlocks a very fun addition called the Demon Compendium, which makes fusion much more convenient. After registering my demons, I make an absolute game changer known as the King Frost. and cover his weakness with anti-fire. Now, if you've played Devil Survivor before, you know that the Tyrant Demons are OP when it comes to mage builds, as their racial skills replenishes HP after each skirmish. This MP replenish also scales with how much damage you do, the cost of the skill, and how many demons from the enemy team that dies from it. So this means I can spam dance skills and get an almost 100% return. I also bought a Suparna from the demon auction for extra movement. Keisuke also makes his playable debut here. Yeah, I don't have enough access demons to build a 4th party member, which is a more valid reason of not using Keisuke other than I just don't like him. With Garm entering the Shadow Realm, I changed grinding technique to be more defensive so my demons last longer. Our demons are also a bit underleveled, so after fusing stronger demons I encountered a very sus man bashing on angels. Before talking to Shoji again, we tell him that the tunnel was obviously blocked and ask her what kind of intel she has, which is people are doomsaying that the end of the world is near, and that's understandable. Asking her about Beldr leads to nothing, so I head to the 2007 Honda Civic, which only leads to a little bit of the story, as there was an explosion in the temple 6 months ago. The cause was unknown, but the excuse was a gas leak, and there was supposedly plenty of Shimon guys running around. Well, this does connect to the story in some way with all the coincidences. It's not very important for Hatsuru's route. We get to meet Haru right after, which means mass demon ambush, including multiple Wendy Gooners as regular enemies. Since I didn't learn my lesson from the previous encounter, I brought Keisuke with me. Well, even with a dead weight, this was still fairly easy. Only took around 13 minutes. And here's my stat update by the end. After she's saved, I bluntly asked her why she wanted to die, and after a few more dialogues, we end up coming to a conclusion where her music thingamajig can summon demons, which is not good. An explanation as to why her do that can summon or attract demons is jumping a bit too far into the story, so let's just pin it in the fact that someone called Aya gave it to her in order to finish the song. Well, not something to think about using any brain power to digest the story. I fused a big blue bull and used him to make a Vindofner. After that, I talked to Hatsuru again to initiate the first step to open up his ending, as he sees someone he's familiar with in the distance who's gone missing under mysterious circumstances. This leads to nothing for now, so I then considered buying another Kikuri Hime to replace it for Yuzu, but I end up buying another Vindofner from the compendium so she'll have movement. I talked to Haru again where she basically goes, "Damn, you're literally me." After that I bought a Wendiguna just because, and talked to Miss Mari who just assumed that I talked to Kaido first and see their banter. In short, it's just a sync to progress time. Heading back to the Akasaka tunnel to try and escape again from there, but surprise surprise, we got caught by the NCR soldier again. I'll admit that these soldiers are the weaker part of the story, as they think we were the cause of the demon invasion, even though there are literal orange robe wearing cultists running amok. And again, even though we have demons and gods that can quite literally heal us from any wounds and also make us able to survive supernatural attacks, but no, the power of freedom is just simply stronger. Joking aside, the only thing we get from this is that something will happen in 4 days, as if we don't already know that. After that, we tried talking to Naya again to get actually useful information, until we were interrupted by a misspelled ICP fan who tried to remove the I from the Insane Clown Posse acronym. Anyway, we got some useful information after telling him, well, fight Beldr instead of running away, which basically boils down to, yeah, he's immortal, but there's this one teeny tiny thing that makes him not immortal. If you know basic Norse mythology or either played or watched the 2006 God of War game, you know what it is. In one of my many grinding sessions, Keisuke somehow managed to make all 9 of Nekomata's lives to go to the Shadow Realm, but since I just can't learn from my mistake, I give him a Flame Mist instead and let him stay on the team. After even more grinding and more demon fusion to get higher levels, I finally had to. Long story short, we just have to try and save these people, so after they've escaped, the objective changes to just killing the rest of the demons, and after a few dialogue with Beldr finally manifests himself. After letting out some vampiric mist, our objective is now to run away, but since it's not too smart, she would immediately try to attack him, and since she's the weakest link, I attack Beldr with Yuzu to get to start running, as no one else can escape if hadn't escaped yet. To make things a bit more inconvenient, Beldr summons 2 more demons, aka EXP fodder, and we managed to run away. She's a disgrace to the name, as she just whines and run away again, crying like a dumbass. Talking to Atsuru and trying to find Beldr's weakness, we start by cracking some soldier boys to charge his laptop, and after that's done, we found that his weakness is called the Devil's Fuge, and using hindsight, aka having 130,000 hours of playtime, it's a plant, to which they don't believe me. Well, we then go to Ikebukuro to talk to Atsuru again, and finally found this mystery man named 10-bit dying on the side of the street as he leaves us his broken comp. We can't do anything about it for now, so I look for more info on the Devil's Fuge and see that it's been sold and can only be acquired at 1700. So I flirt with Haru, eavesdrop on the redhead NCR soldier, talking to an NCR commander. Then we have a mandatory fight with Kaido in a 2009 Honda Civic. Well, it's more like a contest on who can kill more demons. To amuse myself, I only put Kaze and Yuzu on the field for the unique dialogue of a 2v2. But since we got the superior movement, we effortlessly get 4 kills and Kaido breaks down to somehow summon Pazuzu and they escape. After cleaning up the rest, we're now fighting some rogue Shomonkai members, and after a while the actual Shomonkai came in to help, so this is just another nothing battle. Now the fight for the Devil's Fuge. You should see by now that me and my demons are overleveled here, so it goes by pretty quickly, and they see that the Devil's Fuge is actually just a plant. Before we get to fight Beldr though, we finally get to crack into the broken comp and see that every single electronic appliance inside the lockdown has a specific whatchamacall inside them that basically turns Tokyo into one giant microwave that fries everyone and everything inside it as a final drastic measure if things don't go as planned after 4 days. Now my strategy for the Beldr fight is to solve the 4 demons with the rest of my team and progressively leave Kazuya out of his movement range while closing the distance, and to initiate a better priority as there's a small boost on who will attack first depending on which one starts the fight. This single boss fight lasted for around 18 minutes and it took 10 consecutive Devil's Fuge punch while the rest of my team heals me. After I absorb his soul, don't worry, that gets explained later. So our days to live is extended to 3 and the gang finally understands that our timer will lead up to another strong demon. Returning back to the weird guy that told us about Devil's Fuge, I told him that we beat Beldr and he explains a little bit as to why I managed to absorb his soul, although he didn't told me directly what I am, like the guard who tells you you're the Dragonborn in Skyrim. Instead he just says that I have the potential to become the King of Bel, even though I'm a human. What this entails is basically that any demons, or at least any major figures of mythical doohickeys that contains the word Bel in the name, has a superiority to rule over the underworld, and this is a competition to see who wins. Other than giving us a heads up on who our next Bel fight will be against, he doesn't have any more information. Although, he also calls me now his younger brother instead of his cousin, but I'm not too sure if that's relevant. But now we head back to our base at the park, and I get to read and reply 7 emails in the middle of the night to end day 3. Day 4 is where things start to crash and burn, but before I explain that, I take another step to Atsuru's rate by saying that's a good point. This proposal of extending control to the entirety of demons inside the lockdown, so the lockdown won't be necessary, and that's to find the server, so that's another objective to keep in mind. Now I'll explain why this day is where shit starts to fling in the fan, as our email consists of dying because he'll be beaten to death by an angry mob at 1100, a mysterious rock star getting shot to death by the defense force at 1700, and general riot alongside suicide will increase. So Keisuke reaches breaking point, but instead of trying to think rationally and just saving her, he does a Suguru Geto and thinks killing almost everyone else is a good alternative, so he runs away like he's someone's prison bitch. That's at least less dead weight on our side, and we immediately figure out that it was probably Haru who'll get shot at 1700, so Yuzu tries to help by reminding us to check on Haru when 1700 comes. No time for a rapid fire. I talk to this angel possessing a woman who says billions must die, check on to see that she's still stupid, the result of a riot. Kaido asks us on how to pick up older women, and get a little continuation on the bloodless murder subplot, and we also get the best demon of all time, Yum. As he's the earliest demons have access to Holy Dance, the theoretically strongest spell in the game. Then we head over to the Shomonkai headquarters to ask them where the server is, to which they answer now, and pretty much anywhere else you ask them in the game, it's not here. The server isn't physically in this world. I then asked the founder of the Shomonkai some questions, and the only thing that's useful you get from there is the question about Belial. He's called the Evil Flame, so unless you don't have a phone or basic internet access to type in Devil Survivor Overclock Belial weakness on your preferred search engine to find out that ice spells are his weakness. This is the only way to know that, since Yum casted King Frost to fuse him, I bought another King Frost before going to save. This battle is hard, as these people are not demon tamers, so after I hit one of them, they began to run away. Until bitch-ass Keisuke come in and somehow summons the Irezumi on Kuzu's back. Now this fight is supposed to be longer if you play it normally, but Giga-chat Aturo ends it short because I purposely positioned him to be in range for an attack, so he runs away like a bitch but isn't out of the punji stick trap yet, as her number is still at 0, so we decided to follow her. After 2 hours of grinding, talking to Best Girl, 8 hours of grinding and fusing, with Lucifuge to upgrade King Frost, and the funny Crow guy to increase movement being the more notable demons I made. Talk to the 2009 Honda Civic again, for some reason, before eventually recruiting and letting her live. And she dies immediately when I use her in a free battle, locking me out of the unkillable title achievement and having to add to the Shadow Realm. The rest went by without a hitch though. Talking to the 2009 Honda Civic again, we found out that he's here to find a comp for a corporation he's working for. Don't know why he's trying to get demons, when all corporations are demonic enough as is. Going back to Jin, he tells us his backstory and explained more as to what happened to Aya, that some Shomonkai member kidnapped her some time ago in the past. So he asked us to sleuth around a bit more about Aya's disappearance, after a little more pestering, and the Shomonkai finally cracks to say that we should meet with Azuma in Roppongi at 1200 in 2 days. So we relayed this to Jin, and his timer went down to 2 days, not so subtly indicating that he will die if we don't do anything about it. So I tried to sequence break by talking to Azuma right after, but no. It's foolish of me to think I have a choice, as I can only tell him that we're reclaiming Naoya's belongings because I'm his cousin, and he told me to come back tomorrow. We then get a mandatory battle against some gooners. You know how that goes. Now, seeing Shoji on the map is very pleasant, at least to me, but sadly all she do is just regurgitate info you already know if you pay a minuscule amount of attention to the game. So she's a pretty great character to players who skip dialogue. Anyway, to sum it up, demons and angels exist, and the governments are working with angels to initiate the lockdown as humanity's trial to see if they're worthy to live or not. We then had a mandatory fight against Kaido and the 2009 Honda Civic, but unlike last time, this is an actual fight, as they're threatening ordinary people. I slowly inch myself towards Kaido, just enough to be outside of the funny demon's attack range, and he goes down fairly quickly. When trying to dispatch the 2009 Honda Civic, I felt immense fear because he's sporting the Like a Dragon 3 Joji Kazama stance, so I have Yuzu and Atsuru jump him to near death. Yuzu then reminds us that it's now 1700, and we check on Haru to talk her down from trying to Minecraft MLG clutch with a lava bucket. We then walk around to find Kaido, and he tells us how his gang goons are being killed by someone wearing glasses with a knack for judging eyes. I wonder who that asshole is. I'm thrown right into action as I see Miss Mari being chased by a Twitter troll. Miss Mari advises us not to kill him now, as he would come back stronger if he dies. So our objective is to save her. The beginning starts off a little rough, but we manage to escape. And then we get exposition by Miss Mari, that's being possessed by another demon called Kresnik. Think about Castlevania, and this is basically that. We then have a good old case of police brutality, where authors at Mothman almost died. But we manage. And after confirming that, yeah, the world has gone mad, we went to bed. Day 5 starts with a nice void casting over the sky, but we have more pressing matters as to what should we even do about demons and the inner workings when we're done. So we plan to talk to Izuna in the NCR Mojave outpost for a later time, because for now, our email for the day consists of Miss Mari dying in 1200, Keisuke tries to disperse more of his judge eyes, but gets killed like a bitch, and the general riot will intensify. As much as I want to let Keisuke die, I want to get his title achievement for letting him live. So I upgrade my auction membership to Star Platinum, give Kaido Miss Mari's bag to distract him from killing Keisuke, see that Best Girl is being based by trying to talk down a father from summoning a godlike demon to the world. Yuzu does the funny. We got Naoya's comp, which is a ticket in finding the server, and also confirmation that he masturbates. And yet a demonstration how multifaceted the Japanese language is. That's 3 that I know of now. 1100 is basically just a time waster. And now we have to fight some more NCR troopers. So if the force defeat it, the rest rats run away. But I need my XP, so there's no mercy for him. We now start the Good Luck fight, and it's really annoying because it's a tight pull, as Good Luck is fairly fragile if you spec his weakness or use Holy Dance and Drain like me, so it would usually end in an easy fight, but you can't do that here. You have to pull your punches or else Miss Mari dies. But you can't pull your punches too much, as when Miss Mari/Kresnik drinks the MacGuffin, Prologue will start running away, and if you try to block him with a teammate, he has an unusually high attack damage, meaning he's an ass to fight in a Nuzlocke, which is why I'm putting a dragon on my team, so I can attack him but he can't attack me. Now I know there's an easy way to end this, by clearing out the minion demons, then let Kaido attack Prologue, as he is guaranteed to leave him at 1 HP for Miss Mari to end the battle. And we get a little reward of being able to fuse and use both Kresnik and Prologue. Now remember the thingamajig Haru has? Well, some are explained here, as Atsura finds out that the way these comps can summon demon is through strong will, but the will of someone alone isn't enough to fill a server, so its source of power is from the internet. That's 2 games that I know that has Twitter contributing a major presence in the plot. There's also this thing saying that music is the primal common tongue of demons, you know how music can convey emotions and whatnot? Which is why Haru is so important, but it isn't nearly as interesting as the commonality with Malgi Rising Revengeance. The game decides to throw us a bone, as the Keisuke part is comically easy, because all I did was inch a bit closer, then throw him some ice and we're done, being rewarded with Yama to be fusible. Oh, and Keisuke is back again. I then fuse her cat to naturally upgrade Lucifuge, before going to the Mojave outpost and getting interrupted with some minor demons. After a couple of minutes of killing them, Izuna and the NCR commander came along with a comp that they somehow don't know how to use, changing the win condition where they need to survive if I want to win, and that's what I did. We then tried to ask them for information. They refused at first, but we then get something, confirming that the highway does connect to the subway, and we get information that we already know of. Like how demons are causing the lockdown because of the Shomonkai, the government's deal with the angels, and the deadline of killing everyone by turning Tokyo into a microwave. Though at least we get an extra title achievement for this. It breaks my heart just by saying this. After a useless encounter with Shoji, I talk to Izuna again, and she basically spoils us about the final encounter with the mention of Beldr and the Tower of Babel. I then talked this guy down from doing anything stupid, but I was a little too late when it comes to his identical twin brother. This encounter is a little bit special because it's a traditional escort mission where you need to talk to them first to make them follow you, instead of them just beelining for the exit like usual. So you don't really need to escort them to the exit because the mission does end if you destroy this guy's camp and kill the rest of the demons. After that I talked to Shoji and she does the anime thing before proceeding to tell us of things that we already know. Then we tried talking to Amane again and she's immediately possessed by an angel, although we didn't get anything useful. Other than basically, destroy the bell demons and you might get something useful, which is what we've been doing anyways. Now this part is really just relaying information that we already know of, because this is the 3rd time in a row. But this does contain somewhat new information, as the founder of the cult performed a ritual to summon a demon and sealed it away inside Amane when she was a child. So this gave them the idea to hire Naoya to make the comp's demon summoning program, causing all this mess. Though this information is somewhat useless, because you don't fight Amane's demon in Atsura's route. So we head over to Naya's mandatory battle, before he offers us an opportunity to get answers if we kill 6 demons in under 3 turns. So I did just that. To sum it up, we were involved from a long time, because Kazuya was loved by God. His intentions for us here is to take seat on the throne of Bell. The server isn't here anymore, and I'm not worthy enough to know where it is. Great information, Naoya. Our last hint is about the demon summoning program, that Naoya couldn't have completed it without the demon summoning melody provided by Aya, also known as the original whatchamacallit owner that Haru is currently in possession of. In other words, things we already know of. We then have a pretty nice and somber moment where we're reminded that our main cast are just ordinary teens, thrusted into basically Armageddon, where the line between demons and humans gets blurred day by day, only having themselves to rely on in order to survive. So I replied their emails with moral support before ending the day. Day 6 starts by reading an email saying that me and my friends will die in a fire at 1800, and the email will be discontinued. Everyone else is rightfully panicked, so I set out to control the demons to gain more points in Atsura's route, doing so by using Haru's doohickey. So we set out to find Jin, after an hour of grinding that is, asking him where Haru is, and he doesn't know. Telling him how her dingoes can summon demons, we found out that Naoya left a comp at his bar after talking to Haru about music. Putting 2 and 2 together, Haru must be in a place where music is put on a pedestal, but that's put on hold as Jin is in danger now. We then have a battle with some NCR soldier again, the same one from day 5 actually, but instead of running away halfway through, they immediately try to run away now. And the NCR captain tried to do a kamikaze that ends quite well. We talk to Miss Info that we already know of, and Miss Mari tries to join our rebellion, but Atsuro turns her down. For now. Going back to the park, Yuzu tries to cool down while Atsuro heads for number 2. We're left alone. So Best Girl tries to entice us into the law route. I would normally take it, but we're already dead set on neutral. We then talk to Yuzuna, and we find out that the Shomonkai killed Jikoku, one of the 4 divas of Japan, making the barrier separating the demon world and our world weaker and weaker, so they can summon Beldr more easily. Now it's time to save Jin. And the only thing that's eventful here is the fact that I only got one of the 3 skills I was preparing to crack. I was gonna beg for mercy like a bitch, and we can fuse Take Mikazuchi. This one where we fight some unruly civilians took an embarrassingly long 16 minutes to finish up. We then progress more points into Atsuro's route by agreeing to hear him out to basically enslave demons and use their powers for humanity. After that, Naoya tries to entice us into the chaos route, but again, we're staying neutral. Before going further, I've used Taotai. I level him up to get Megado, a weaker but more convenient holy dance as it hits everyone on the enemy team. I walk in on Izuna fighting some Shomonkai member, and Best Girl came in to explain that there's a demon inside her that isn't too relevant, as again, we don't fight her in Atsuro's route. I then use some of my brain power to fuse a stronger Hakat, and talk to the purple guy again, revealing irrelevant things about Jezebel, and I declare that Beldr won't claim the throne of Bel. I will. Best Girl tries to persuade us into law school again, but I politely refuse. Speaking of neutrality, I talk to Jin again, and he reveals that he's moved on from Aya's disappearance. This is also a point increase if you want to complete Jin and Haru's neutral ending, but we're aiming to enslave demons. Kaido is the last one here, and he reveals that he's moved on from trying to get revenge, a point increase for the chaos route. I've used this guy, a weird naked dude with a helmet riding a weird eel. This tyrant demon is also strength based, not magic based, so I give him to the others. We now ran into this mandatory fight where we have to choose either to assist the angels, demons, or kill both for humanity. To stay neutral, I obviously choose the last one. After a while, the 2900 Honda Civic tries to escape. We can also choose to escape too here, but that leads to an early bad ending, so we stop them. I find Jin talking to Best Girl. He tries to convince Ramiel to let us in the server, but we obviously can't. Until we showed her Naoya's note, opening the opportunity to do so by telling us to get Aya's Singamabob and Naoya. As we go to do that, we are interrupted by an angel mauling for me to join the law route. But the answer is a firm no. It's now 1800, time for the bell fight. After this, purple guy stops yapping. Now instead of immortality, this guy has fire and Haru as hostage, who doesn't really seem to care all that much. And now we start the fight. Since he's weak to ice, I equip Ice Amp and Ice Dance before bomb rushing and killing him by throwing some ice cubes. I'm level 53, with Ice Amp and min-maxing on magic and agility, so it's pretty easy. After that, we talk to Haru to acquire her Hootenanny, and get the SND-11, a command where we can dispel the demons back to the demon world. 1830 is the final act of the day. Instead of talking to the interesting purple guy law, I instead talk to Keisuke and find out that he got bullied. Nighttime comes, and after a couple of banter, they head to bed while I see that I've acquired all emails to get each ending route. After reading them, I'm approached by the purple guy, asking if I've made my decisions yet. I answered of course, and head over to Hatsuro, locking me into his ending, and Miss Mari joins us in our endeavors. Our silent revolution will come to fruition, and our first step is to find Naoya. We're quite optimistic until Izuna comes in and tells us that they moved the deadline to 1300 instead, while also saying that they're trying their best to negotiate a more lenient deadline. Well, thankfully time doesn't advance in free battles, but after a long time of fortune, Rook died, and I grinded even more until I can replace him with a pigeon that has the fires of hell on his back. I stopped grinding at level 57 and started the Naya fight. This fight is generally just annoying because he prioritizes running away while an infinite amount of demons will be summoned. It took 19 full minutes to finally trap and beat him to death. By the end, he agrees to work with us, and just to make sure, the angel-possessed woman will be watching over him. He said he'll be done in 3 to 4 hours, which would obviously be missing the deadline, worst case scenario. So we head over to the NCR generals to ask them if they can convince the government to extend the deadline, and Izuna joins the party. We then talk to Best Girl and find out as to why Jezebel is in a boss fight in Atsuro's route, as Beldr already killed her, leaving only 3 Bell participants left, including myself. And he did it to make Babel arrive faster. Well, 2 can play in that game, as we're now set to kill the 4 divas of Japan. Well, 3 since one of them were already killed, but you get the idea. As killing them would make the barrier between the demon realm and ours to dissipate, contributing to Babel's arrival to be faster. So we head over to Eikokuji in order to fight Bishamon, the strongest of the 4 devas, the god of war and the god of we can now use them, and it resulted in the sky to turn red. Well, our only chance now is to see it through by killing the 2 other divas. Since Bishamon is the strongest of the 4 divas, the 2 are gonna be a breeze. Even if they try to do a pinch maneuver, I set myself to kill Zocho since I'm the only one with the movement to reach him, while Komoku is fit to be jumped by Yuzu and Izuna. So we confuse them now, and the sky violently rotates. After upgrading my membership, I swing by Naya's place and he tells us that the code can't be rewritten if Beelzebul and Beldr are still alive, so we head for the hills to squash a bug first. Now this fight is pretty hard, as in addition to his 6x4 attack range, his second phase that he starts laying eggs, which will hatch after 1 turn to cause massive almighty damage. Luckily this can be cured with prayer and Amrita, so we managed to swat the fly. We also got an extra hour of work time before Tokyo turns into a microwave, which we definitely need, as we need to climb up 53 floors by stairs. But before that, I grinded a bit and arranged my skills for force, as Beldr is weak to that element. Then we climb up the stairs to face the angry god, after he eats Pascal's father. The fight with Beldr is odd to say the least, as his gimmick is the stage, where you need to beat up these 2 Shomon guys first to reach him, but it can also be negated by just flying over it if you have an Avian or Genma demon. Speaking of, I changed Hakat to Heimdall, as while Hakat can dish out a lot of damage, she can't really survive with how little health she has. And since Heimdall is a Genma demon, I now have 50% more turn priority, as I want to be able to get as close as possible to Beldr, because he has infinite attack range. Once I'm in reach, I switch Heimdall back to Hakat and speed blitz him, because I am the main character. One less obstacle now before summoning Babel. And now he says to prepare, so I grinded over to level 67, infused a couple more demons before summoning Tower. As the tower falls from the sky, we're immediately faced off with a horde of demons. Now first off, we need to protect Naoya so he can access this console in the middle to rewrite the code. Once he reaches the console, we now need Atsuro to man the additional consoles, which is the reason why I left Atsuro behind, as the additional console access are random, to be on the left or on the right. Even though I locked out on the right, I can just give Atsuro Heimdall to leap over to the right. So I waited for a while to set up the rest of my teammates to be in walking distance to the Babel Tower, and wail at him until he went into his second phase, a phase where he can change properties, i.e. the Persona 3 final boss. And when Atsuro's route, he'll always starts with a weakness to lightning. After 1 round with the MC cannon, he's already lost 3/4 of his health, and use Yuzu to slightly drain some of his health. I then pray Babel either attacks me or Yuzu with his infinite range, and my prayers were answered. After 1 more electric dance, I finally claimed the throne of Bel, using my first command to return all demons. After evidence of demons being forcefully returned, I get some congratulations as if it was that one scene from Evangelion. The city is now back to almost normalcy. Why almost, you ask? Well, it's because the government now has literal demons under their thumbs, making Japan skyrocket into one of the strongest superpower in the world. But that's okay. We're a big fan of the government, right? After a while has passed, we get an email from basically God that says you did a good job with like, don't let it corrupt you or anything, which I doubt will happen. And them's the breaks. Thank you for stomaching this 40-minute long video. Like it if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, subscribe if you want to, and
bye.